For my first pick, look, it wasn't my favorite card, especially with all of the injuries. But I'm going back to something that I always say. I play numbers, not teams, and this is ugly. But I'm for my number two pick this week. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys, plus 1.5 or plus one, whatever it is right now against the Rams. When this line came out, it opened 4 some places, 3.5. The Cowboys favorite. I said, all right, it's about right. Rams and Cowboys are pretty close, and now you add in home field for Dallas. But then apparently, every single person in the world has decided they want to bet the Rams. And, there are reports out in Vegas and in different books that it's 9 out of every 10 bets are coming in on the Rams. So that line has moved drastically. This is the 4:00 national TV game, and everyone is betting the Rams, which is crazy to think. Everyone usually is betting Dallas. Now, I went on that rant last week about Dallas and couldn't play them against the Bears because of some of the little things that they've been doing or not doing, which is, special teams. Their special teams have been brutal. Turnovers, penalties, coaching, play calling, et cetera, et cetera. All these little things that don't necessarily get captured in the box score and are the reason why this team, which has one of the best offenses in the NFL, is 6-7. Now, you can argue, which is crazy, that the Cowboys don't have to win this game. It doesn't mean anything to them in a way. They can lose this, and then they just beat the Eagles and the Redskins, and they win the division, regardless of what else happens. So every week, the Cowboys can just lose, and it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, the Rams, yes, they need to win pretty much to keep their playoff hopes alive. They don't have a shot in the division. They're playing for the wild card. They've been playing a lot better of late. I've bet them the last 2 weeks against Arizona. I had them big last week against Seattle. But I haven't learned anything new about this team. Their defense is solid. They always, and I think last week was more about, Seattle and some regression, but the Rams always play, we went over this in the pod last week, they always play very well against that Seattle defense. That offense just matches up well. It clicks versus them, but this offense still has a lot of issues. That hasn't changed for me just because they beat the Cardinals and a Seahawks team that they match up well with, and then the Bears. I mean, nothing really has changed with me for the Rams. This is a team that early in the year, if Greg Zuerlein makes a field goal, they win in Seattle. So I have to take this as my 2-pointer because this line is just it's crazy now at Dallas plus 1.5. You also have extra prep time for Dallas. Maybe that's a bad thing with Jason Garrett. They could have cleaned up some things on special teams.
Well, they cleaned up their kicker. He's gone. They got a new kicker.
Yeah, the kicker, which will significantly help.
It's the Patriots' old kicker, though, which is one of their old kickers. So it's probably not.
It couldn't be worse is where it was going with Mars. They have extra prep time, which you would think only can help. And, this Rams team is still flawed to me just because of what they've done the last few weeks. So I'm rolling with the Cowboys here, catching points at home. If this was -3, where we were open, I probably wouldn't bet it, but you're giving me 4.5 points of value now. I'm taking it. So I'll be against the world and holding my nose back in the Cowboys on Sunday late afternoon.
Yeah, it's really you against Jason Garrett, because I think you're right. I think on paper, there's no way the Rams should be a 1-point road favorite. They're not 4 points better than the Cowboys on a neutral field. But Jason Garrett, and we've talked about this before on the pod, he's now 28, 36, and 2 against the spread in his career, 44% versus winning teams. And in the Prescott era, 10 and 17, 37%. So it's really you versus Jason Garrett. That's all it is at this point.
That's what scares me. But this is also going back to an old principle of mine in the NFL, when betting the NFL, and it's something I've followed forever successfully, is that on a week-to-week basis, the overreactions in the most bet on and watched sport are extreme. And this is a classic example. This is last week, everyone wanted to bet the Cowboys against the Bears. And, everyone wanted to bet Seattle against the Rams. I didn't want to bet Dallas, and I was on Seattle. But now this week, everyone has jumped off the Cowboys. The Cowboys stink. I don't want to bet them. And now everyone is on the Rams team, who a couple weeks ago they were saying stinks. So, this is just a classic example. Now you're having the line move drastically. This is just a buy low, sell high spot that I believe in. Maybe the Cowboys mess it up again with little things again, but I'm willing to back Dallas here.
And to your point, I'm looking at the Action Network app right now. LA Dallas is the most bet Sunday game already, even though it's a 4:25 Eastern start. It's the most bet game, where usually you see one of the games on the 1 o'clock window get the most bets just because people are eager to kind of get some action in. And 89% of the tickets backing the Rams as 1-point favorites. However, only 81% of the money. So that does indicate there's some bigger bets coming in there on the Dallas Cowboys. So just wanted to point that out.